Welcome to the game line. And so, we finish this preview series with the underdogs, the team that has never placed above 4th, and who have been on the side of some heavy defeats in the past 2 decades. And yet, Italian rugby is on a meteoric rise. Italy has a very interesting risk and reward strategy that is quite different from what we are used to seeing. We'll look at their attacking structures, defensive philosophies, and their approach to kicking. We'll also look at their team's makeup and see what their strengths and weaknesses are. The final thing to note is that they will have a new coach. Gonzalo Quesada has given us glimpses in the media of his vision for the Azzurri going forward over the past few months. So let's start with what he has planned for the future. We are not the most physically powerful team, and we cannot base our game around power like South Africa or England. But we need to give ourselves lots of options and play with pace. I think the players believe this too. Today's rugby, and that of tomorrow, is a rugby based on attack. These are the words from the new coach himself, and it gives us a good insight into his thinking. From the information that I could gather, he placed a special emphasis on the scrum and Italy's defense. Italy's scrum has been a big problem, particularly during the World Cup. However, the defense has been solid, at least stats-wise, so I think he will want to continue building on that. When we look at Italy's players themselves, we can see why he would say that and why Crowley made the decisions that he made. Their tallest player is only 1.98 meters tall, and their pack usually lines up less than 900 kilograms, making them one of the lightest teams in world rugby. Because of this, Italy has to focus on speed and not get into physical battles. The more they can get away from set pieces and slow game speed, the better. We can see this in their tactical approaches. On attack, Italy use a 1-3-2-2 structure, and as mentioned previously, they always look for width. They tend to spread the ball to the outside carrier or to the backline receiver to create a new point of attack. Italy also has a risky strategy in which they constantly look to attack from deep within their own half. This strategy didn't really work well, particularly in the World Cup, as there were many times that they were turned over. The tactic requires a very high skill level with strong support lines, and I don't think Italy are quite there yet. Their defensive system tends to be more conservative, with double tackling to slow down opposition ball. They don't focus on competing as much at the breakdown, choosing to keep more defenders on their feet. This can be seen in their tackling success rate during the World Cup. They had a 91% success rate against Namibia, 90% against Uruguay, and 88% against France, which are all solid numbers. The only bad number is 79% against New Zealand. However, remember that they shipped 96 points in that match. The fact that they still made 4 out of 5 tackles despite the scoreline is pretty impressive. Now let's look at the weakest part of Italy's game, the set piece. It's an area that Quesada will want to fix as soon as possible. They have one of the worst scrums amongst Tier 1 nations, and it regularly hovers around the 50% success rate. Italy's physical deficiencies are likely to blame for this poor performance. Because their pack is so much lighter than their opponents, they tend to struggle with keeping their footing in the scrums and defending mauls. Because their locks and flankers are shorter, they struggle to find their jumpers in the line-out. Now, this doesn't mean that they are doomed in this area. Technique will always trump sheer weight and power, but it does mean that they will have to spend more time focusing on the set piece if they want to be on par with the other teams. This would come at the expense of other areas. In my opinion, this is probably the correct move. When it comes to their kicking approach, they focus on driving teams back territorially instead of competing in the air or putting pressure on their opposition. This approach is similar to the All Blacks in the sense that they use a conservative style of defending combined with driving teams back to force opponent mistakes. When looking at the positives, there is some hope that can be taken for the future. The first is that their back three are really good. They also have some good systems that complement these players and that they have been building for years. Another positive is that the Italians tend to grow into their games towards the end. In 3 of their 4 World Cup pool matches, they had a higher amount of possession in the final 10 minutes than their opposition. This could also be a symptom of their smaller pack size, leading to more fitness towards the end. Overall, I think there is a lot to be excited about for Italy this year. However, if they want to start competing with their stronger Tier 1 nations, then they will have to sort out their set piece as well as focus on better decision making. If you like this video, then you can watch some of my other previews for the teams. And if you'd like to see more tactical analyses going forward, then please consider liking and subscribing. See you next time.